starting now.
Ah, yes, because Skeletor is with us today.
Hello! I'm starting this podcast now. That is what we are doing.
You can't spell advertisements without singing
Alright.
between the tits.
Well done! Yes!
So what are we talking about today?
Motherfucking horror movies. Not horror movies, horror movies.
Yeah, we're not gonna talk about like white chicks. That's a horror.
God. Anyway.
This is what we're talking about. Da 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 da.
Amazing so far.
What?
You're doing great. I believe in you.
You want to edit this?
No.
Go ahead. All right. Never mind.
Anywho,
We're gonna jump into this now.
So, we are discussing horror movies of old, horror movies now, and how they have either evolved or, in some cases, devolved since the golden age of horror.
Specifically, Halloween.
Halloween, Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street. I would say Hellraiser.
If either of us watched it enough, because I think I've watched it once.
Again, like we said prior to starting the recording, I asked a friend about Hellraiser, and he basically just said, "You know the concept of torture porn?" I'm like, I would guess it's pretty self-explanatory from the name. So yes, he says, yeah, basically think that, but they added a plot to it.
Yeah, there's a lot of movies that I know about, but I've never actually seen, which is like Hellraiser, Texas Chainsaw, Saw. I've seen. I haven't really cared for stuff like Saw, so I'm just like, oh yeah.
Oh yeah, that sink water hits different. Fuck.
That tap water.
Oh yeah. Anyway, and what better movie to start off with this type of conversation than Halloween, the movie that has been it's been doing things.
It hasn't been a good or bad progression. It's just been progression.
Yeah, it's more or less just been sideways. It hasn't dipped. It hasn't really risen. I guess you could say with the new reboots,
they've kind of raised some eyebrows with a couple things that they.
It's like no, don't worry. This movie is what takes place after the first one. Everything after the first that we actually officially released, don't worry about it.
That seems like with a lot of movies. I think the biggest thing right now with horror movies is everyone batting the murderers against each other to just see
who would win
their
in
strengths.
A fight. If you want to do that, go fucking watch Death Battle.
Yeah, a lot of people have been doing it where they're like, oh yeah, let's do all of these nightmares versus the SCPs or whatever bullshit like that. And
just let's put up Michael Myers against 096, and it's like, oh wow, big surprise, Michael Myers got ripped apart, fucking But the main thing is, I've seen the original. Well, I guess I can't call it the original, but I've seen the first movie.
Yeah.
The second movie had absolutely nothing to do with any of this because originally they were thinking about actually making a horror movie series with just the Halloween name fucking put on it. But then they realized, oh shit, Michael Myers is people really like this. So after after Halloween 2, which again had, like I said, had nothing to do with it, they went on to do a continuation of the first Halloween with Halloween 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then so on and so forth. Rob Zombie got his hand in this disgusting pool of horror and shit out a couple movies that were, well, the best way to describe them is
movies.
The best way to describe them is Rob Zombie films. Anyway.
Yeah, because now he has a whole iteration of, oh, this is a Rob Zombie film. We know where this is going.
It's basically he soft rebooted the franchise to where, oh yeah, now Michael Myers was born like a fucking white trash white trash trailer park home despite being in like a decently sized house in white suburbia that you know damn well a family like that couldn't afford. I'm sorry, strippers don't get paid that much.
Strippers get paid, but they do not get paid that much. Or most of the time, it's strippers get paid, but that money goes away really fast because they need to buy an excess of many things to keep themselves, being strippers and not being wives.
But anywho, mainly, my biggest takeaway from the Rob Zombie films is my biggest takeaway from any Rob Zombie film. It's what is it most known for? Gratuitous violence, gratuitous swearing, gratuitous nudity, and in some cases gratuitous racism, but it depends on which flavor of Rob Zombie you want.
Yeah. But like other movies, for example, like It has evolved, Freddy Krueger has evolved, Jason has evolved.
I wouldn't say, if we're talking about movies evolving, when it comes to the new reboots for Michael Myers, which is basically just them saying this is new canon, I'm fine with it. My biggest problem is, like, why? Were they really that desperate to revive this franchise because they know sure as shit they're not going to do it with the movies that were already out?
Yeah.
So they're like, okay, we need to reboot this franchise one more time. Hopefully it'll work this time, actually. I watched them. They were good. I would definitely say they were good. They were probably the best continuations of the Michael Myers plot.
Yeah, and for other things like It and Jason and Freddy, and even like Hellraiser, Saw, stuff like that. Like, I think the only thing that like I can really take away is it starts to become more like for It, for example, it started looking more like the comics because you were able to CG a lot of things to make the comics like more or less come to life when that really wasn't the idea of It in the first place.
I definitely, it definitely caught my attention that after, what was it, Halloween Kills, which was like the newest one.
Yeah.
I saw that, and I'm literally watching this motherfucker like take every conceivable hit that would just flat out kill someone, and I'm thinking to myself, okay, so he's basically Jason. He's essentially just Jason, but with a William Shatner mask instead of a hockey mask. Because that's the fact. Like, even it's said by, like, the main character of that one, well, the main character who's not Michael Myers. It's said by the main character of the movie. It's like...
it's Laura or something.
Yeah, every time he gets a kill, like, he transcends and he's, like, turning into this fucking, like, what's effectively a force of nature. And it's just like, okay, so we are like completely running away from any form of realism with this. He's not just some masked psychopath anymore. He's not effectively
he's
becoming...
not immortal. Yeah, he's not a mortal man. He's pretty much like
he's Jason
in a sense, in a sense, if you put Jason and the mask like the green mask, it's like, oh yeah, the mask just lets him be able to do this. Now we're stepping into like just bullshit.
But I give movies a lot of shit. I definitely give horror movies a lot of shit because 9 times out of 10 they don't accomplish the one task they were set out to do, which is scare me, because I am just desensitized to anything.
I think like the latest horror movie that actually like scared me, I don't even remember. Because it's been that long. I think it was when like the first It movie came out, and like watching that, and that one we watched when we were at the college. That was like that big thing of, oh, we're gonna watch It. I think that was the first time where I felt like just an ounce of like, oh shit, this spooked me for a second, but that it wasn't like a big scare.
It's like don't get me wrong, horror movies, they do accomplish something when it comes to like unsettling me. Like, I jump scares don't fucking work.
It genuinely has to be like broad daylight massacre.
Because I remember talking about I think I talked about this in a previous podcast, but I don't remember. I was talking about a different type of horror, in my opinion, that's a lot more effective. And it's the horror you actually have to think about. I remember watching a movie called It Follows, which essentially, almost like an STI, the person who has this affliction bangs another person, and basically that person gets followed by this being, this monster of sorts. It's just slowly walking to you. It's like the fucking snail. Like, you're both immortal, but if he gets to you, he kills you. But it's a fucking snail, and you can't stop him. They're not immortal, but it's that concept of like it will always follow you. It follows. And the thing is, with it, that fucked with me so much was that there are portions of movie where it will just be like the two people talking, like just two people talking, walking down the fucking street or something, like just a normal calm ass scene, and then you look between them and you see this person that is just straight up like obviously slowly walking but still like beelining towards them in this slow walk pace, and you're just like, holy
it's the psychological aspect of it. Like, that's the like the newest one that came out, which is like, oh, Smile, where it's literally just like it's an alternate version of you that's just standing there and you can't do anything about that.
I've had enough of Smile already, because
I've seen so many clips of it. It's like, it doesn't,
making someone smile to like a Joker-esque degree doesn't fucking work, because I can name a movie that tried it, and guess what? That movie didn't make it work either. Remember Truth or Dare?
Yes, I remember.
That fucking movie? They tried to go for like the fucking weirdest Joker-esque smile, and I'm like, is this supposed to actually be scary or like unsettling? It's just goofy.
Yeah, it really is. It wasn't something where it's like, oh, this is gonna scare you. No, we really think of it as like, oh, hey, this is just in my eyes, it's just a shitty version of like what if you put Joker in a horror movie, it's a shitty version of like Joker.
And I'm not like some big fucking macho guy. I got the shit scared out of me before, but when it comes to horror movies, it doesn't fucking work. Like, I'll play a horror game. I'll play some games that aren't even meant to be horror games, but they have like some really unsettling shit, and it just makes me just go nuts.
That's the same with me. Well, also in other cases where we were playing a game that wasn't even horror. We were playing a fucking MMO, and we were just like, we were fucking around doing whatever, and we solely got jump scared by a boss that was like just jumping out. I think we were playing like, I think like you were watching me and Quinn play like Borderlands 2 or Borderlands 3 for the first time, and it was literally like, so me and our buddy Quinn were just playing Borderlands 3, and it was like one of our first run throughs through it, and we did a mission where this guy literally just scared us so bad because it didn't say a boss, like it didn't have the cutscene for like, oh, this is the boss. No, it came out from like the top of a ceiling of a cave that we were in and like jumped down on top of us, and Quinn like shit his pants right there. And I'm like, oh my god,
this is fucking great.
It wasn't meant to do it. Like, I just kind of looked at it like, hey, Quinn, and Quinn looks up, like his character just looks up, and he sees this giant spider just like jump onto his face, and I'm like, oh my god,
it's like the CG spider jump scare. Oh, it's great.
It's genuine like that, like the TikToks that you see where like they're trying to catch a spider with a cup and it doesn't catch it and just jumps at you. Like, that was the kind of shit where if it's a quick spook that you're not expecting, that scares us more than like a genuine horror film.
Yeah. There was so I don't own these games. God, I wish I did because like on the PS3, I played these games called Dead Space.
Yeah.
Dead Space 1, 2. I had to suffer through 3 because 3 was probably the weakest out of all of them. But
Dead Space 1 and 2 was definitely like the creme de la creme.
yeah. And it did something right. Even when you weren't fighting the giant fuck off monsters like the necromorphs and shit like that, you still felt very, very fucking tense.
Yeah, like
they
the
got
whole
that shit
I think-
right, and that was in the PS3 era.
yeah, like some games, they take little like nuances from horror movies because not everyone wants to make a horror game. Not everyone is gonna make like, what was it? It was a game on the PS4 where you literally went around, I can't remember what it is now.
Outlast?
Not Outlast. It's
Outlast 2?
No, it's one of them that Markiplier played.
Oh, wow, that really fucking narrows it down.
No,
Thanks,
it was like
buddy.
I get it. It narrows it down so much. No, it was like I don't know. I'll remember it eventually, but I'll probably. It was one of those games where like right at the beginning you had to run away from a masked man with a chainsaw.
Resident Evil 4?
No, it wasn't any of the Resident Evils. It was
A masked man with a chainsaw. Like, again...
yeah.
Ooh.
It's really hard to like narrow it down because it's like generic horror.
I like Lovecraftian horror. Lovecraftian horror is nice. The whole concept of just like the more you try to understand these like fucking Cronenberg-esque creatures, or like these like fucking tentacle monsters and stuff like that, the more you like go insane.
Yeah.
But this is actually it is actually a really good time to be a Dead Space fan, because not only are you getting the remake or reboot, remaster, whatever the fuck it is. Not only you're getting a touched up Dead Space 1, you're also getting the Callisto Protocol, which is effectively fucking Dead Space.
Yeah.
Like, I've seen gameplay of it. It's everything. The health bar, kinesis. You might as well call the main weapon the guy uses the fucking plasma cutter. It's literally Dead Space, even down to like the fucked up but really good death animations.
Yeah. So, jogging my memory a little bit, it was The Evil Within.
Oh, that?
Yeah. That was one of those games where like I didn't expect certain things to happen, so it spooked me for a second, or like
The Evil Within more unsettled me than
that's what I mean. Like it was just very like you didn't know what was gonna happen next.
It was all the instances where it's like, oh yeah, you have to sit in a chair while something pokes at your fleshy bits, and I'm just like,
yeah, like that's what it did to me, and I'm just like,
anything with eyes. That's what fucked me up in Dead Space 2.
Oh,
where it was like that one machine that had to like stick a needle in your eye to get like the marker information out.
Oh, that yeah.
And it's like it's like you hear your dead wife's fucking recite a fucking poem.
There was a game, I don't remember if it is Dead Space, but you're laying back in a chair and they're like trying to poke your eye, like they're trying to surgically remove your eyes. They have a needle, like you're laying down like strapped to a bed, and there's a robot like trying to like jab you in the eye, and you kind of have to like turn away from it because it's trying to get your retina scan or whatever.
Yeah, but in Dead Space 2, it's just like you have to keep your eyes still so it can actually go on, because if it doesn't, it just fucking goes nuts and like starts digging into your head. Oh god. But, like, as it's going on, what made it even worse was, like, your dead wife is, like, reciting a fucked up poem to you. It's like, cross my heart and hope to die, stick a needle in my eye. And I'm just like, oh, great.
Yeah,
Can I go back to killing monsters now, please?
Yeah, that's how it felt. Dead Space is, like, it was all of the good, like, things that you could have put in a horror game.
Especially after you beat the first game, you unlock I think what was like one of the soldier type.
Mhm.
You only want one of the soldier type skins where it's like white armor.
Oh yeah, horror
It's like,
movie.
oh,
Yeah,
it's
we're gonna
time to
talk-
win the war.
Hey guys, we're gonna talk about horror movies and then jump to horror games. It's still horror-esque, but
Okay, to be fair,
no, it's fine. I'm not.
I am a big fan of Dead Space
I know.
because it's effectively just aliens, except even more fucked up.
So these are like what we have for horror movies now, and then these were the horror movies that we
Those
had.
aren't fucking those are not.
I know they're not.
Horror movies.
In the 80s eyes, they
They
are.
have horror aspects to them, but I can name.
Beetlejuice I do not find horrifying at all.
I said aspects, but I'm saying is like there are a handful of other movies that were made in the 80s that are classified more as horror movies than fucking Gremlins.
Yeah, I think the only big thing about like the Spawn movie was
Spawn's
like
a superhero movie.
yeah, Spawn's a superhero movie, and then it has the Vindicator, and then that's it. That's like the only horrifying thing in Spawn.
Yeah, and then there's just Beetlejuice.
And the Vindicator's like it's so CGI. I'm just like
no, it's not the Vindicator. It's the Violator. I think that's what it was.
The Violator. It was yeah. It was something. I just know it's a fucking clown.
I love Spawn. If we're gonna talk about
we
Spawn
can talk
a little
about
bit,
Spawn.
I love how they added him in MK and like he's legitimately a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, no, there's like 2 people in MK right now that are like really good.
It's Spawn and Joker.
Yeah, it's Spawn and Joker. 2 people.
I love the one fucking like intro of Spawn's fighting Joker. It's just like. I'm gonna tear you inside out, ass first, clown. I'm like, oh, fuck.
Yeah. Joker's response is something like, "Oh, I wonder if that would be fun," and then, like he does not give a shit. Yeah, he just does not care. But
Oh Jesus Christ. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean we can talk about Spawn for a little bit.
Well, I basically said my piece.
Okay.
I just like how he wasn't fucking MK. I mean, the original animated series was neat, but again, like, Spawn isn't a horror... Like, he has horror themes, but it's not like...
Yeah, he's like a horror... Yeah, he's a horror-themed superhero.
And you could say the same thing for fucking Constantine. You could say more for Constantine, actually.
I think, like, one of the biggest things I think, I find the most... Yes. Yeah, we'll talk about that.
Well, no, it's...
Don't worry about it. I really don't care for this middle movie.
Oh my god. It was serviceable. It was definitely unsettling, but it was just not fucking scary.
What movie like now that we're like what movie like unsettled you the most?
Oh god, fucking I watched Train to Busan. That one was good.
Okay.
That one was fucking good. I love
how dumb this looks.
Please.
I know.
Please use it.
Alright, I will. Alright, we're gonna use this for right now.
But yeah, okay, barring the giant shark and Here's Johnny, I watched Train to Busan. Little known fact about me, I fucking love zombie movies.
Mm-hmm.
Like good zombie movies.
Yeah.
George Romero, there's some good shit from there.
Hellraiser.
Jesus fucking Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Anyway, well, literally, it's just the thing that I find most unsettling would be the concept of just sheer fucking hopelessness, or like literally, like putting edging someone with hope just to fucking rip it away, like literally anything that has to do with zombies. Because, yeah, you may have survived today, and you may survive a week, but supplies will eventually run out, and last time I checked, to these zombies, you're lunch.
In a zombie apocalypse, you only have to run faster than the slowest person.
What was one, like, horror movie ending that really fucked with you?
I think...
Because I got one.
It was less of an ending, but just, like, the whole time leading up to the end is, like, what screwed with me, because it was more of just like it wasn't something where you knew if it was the end or not. Like you didn't know where it was going to end. Yeah.
You actually fucking Clover? Wow, that was the most vague ass description, and I immediately
Well,
guessed
no,
it.
because it was something where it was like
I
I
love
didn't know where it was going to end from the beginning of the movie to like the middle.
know
You
what's even
started to
better?
like figure it out, but the ending was like it was so weird.
Oh no, it's even better. They survived the airstrike.
Mm-hmm.
But both the man, the woman, and Clover,
Yeah.
they were just like, it's still alive. Oh man, I
I still love the concept. Like, I love the concept of like where horror movies came from. It's like, oh yeah, this was a giant shark. That was a horror movie, right? Yeah, and now we have like
the
CG.
Meg,
Yeah,
the Meg,
the megalodon. Yeah.
But another thing is Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane, and the Cloverfield Paradox are all in the same. It's hard to say continuity because it starts to go into like
Yeah.
multi-dimensional shit, but it's all part of the same thing. And basically, the Cloverfield Paradox is what started everything. It started all the walkie shit.
Yeah.
I still love Clover as a monster because it didn't just have to be a giant fuck off kaiju. No, it had to be a giant fuck off kaiju that would every now and then, the more it gets hit, disperse fucking little crab fleas that are like the size of dogs to humans that are small people. And if they actually bite you and fucking explode.
Yeah.
That was but my answer to I guess my own question would have to be the ending of The Mist.
Yeah. I see that.
Because literally already they killed off Sam Witwer and that already fucked me up because Star Killer.
Oh yeah.
Come on, use the Force, dude.
If only that would be funny.
Use Force lightning.
That'd be funny.
But literally, it's just that moment of like, there was a pit in my stomach when I saw him like pick up the revolver, and there was only like 4 rounds left, 5 people in the car.
Mm-hmm.
And like his son included. He just fucking like ices all of them. Fucking screams at the top of his lungs, tries using the gun himself, but there's no more bullets, so he just goes outside. He's like, fucking take me, monsters. And the army comes in and saves everyone. And he just fucking breaks down. Like that fucked with me.
Mm-hmm.
Oh god.
Yeah, I love like where, so a big movie that we didn't have like a huge part in watching, but like the progression of it.
Oh my god. Okay.
The progression of it is dumb.
It's a lot better than the original plan for it.
Yeah.
Because if you read the books,
I have.
then you understand the one part in the cave where the redhead basically is just like, you can't leave this cave until you become men. And I'm just sitting here like, oh, yeah, no, that's enough from this book.
Yeah. That was kind of I think
I feel like with it, they just made him more of a monster.
Yeah, they progressively just made him more devilish.
He wasn't so much of like a supernatural cosmic being, more so than just like, I'm this giant monster.
Yeah, the boy.
Who, yeah. I'm just a giant monster now.
That was pretty, but like that's how he was. Yeah, not in the comics.
He was like this giant fuck off monster in the original movie. Which, I mean, would I take the original movie over this? Not really.
No.
Because I guess I can call it a fresh take-ish, but it's still like, out of the two, which one unsettled me more? It would probably be the newer one. Because it's done so much with visuals. It's done so much with like.
I think that's like the biggest thing that like most like that we have to get across is like, if a movie is visually scary, that's what kind of unsettles us the most.
Or at least the concept behind it, like fucking, like I said, like Aliens or like Dead Space, where literally the concept behind it is this marker literally causes people to, one, go insane, two, die, and three, become necromorphs, which then kill the ones that don't become insane, so they can become necromorphs. Like, the whole horror in concept is, for me, is just the concept of hopelessness. Like the concept of you are fucked, no matter where you go, how you get out of this. There's no getting out of it. Like you'll always find a horror movie where like the fucking the killer wins and like traps the fucking victim and like locks them away, or like in the first Saw movie where he like the corpse, which was revealed to be Jigsaw, just gets up. He wasn't a corpse, and he's just like closes the door on the guy, saying "game over," and it's like the killer won. There aren't a lot of movies where it's just like, oh shit, the killer didn't just survive, the killer fucking won.
Yeah. I think like the Jigsaw movie with both of them in the bathroom and the dead guy on the ground was like, oh hey. Like, I don't think everybody knew that was Jigsaw, but like you could kind of make assumptions where it was like, oh hey.
And the whole flashback to where the main character fucked himself from the beginning because he woke up. Because apparently he didn't like focus enough from waking up while being drowned.
Yeah.
God. But yeah, it's just for me that's like when horror can become most horrific. It's just the concept of like no matter what, you are fucked from the word go.
Yeah. And that's how like the Saw movies are.
I remember there was one movie, I forgot what it was called. It was some supernatural shit. Not it wasn't called supernatural, but it was some like demonic shit. And basically it ended with them not fixing the problem but making it worse. So bad so that they literally accidentally ripped open a portal to like the astral plane, and like a bunch of like demons and shit were literally not physical demons but like literal like spirits and shit were like pouring into the world.
Yeah.
And she, in like the final girl, who is the main character, she like just goes into like this fucking hardware store, just sits in a fucking just like as she walks into this empty ass dark ass hardware store, she just hears over like the news outlet like people are like literally people are fucking dying to like incomprehensible means. There are like spirits are real, demons are taking over this world, and like she just walks into like this fucking like the preset tents that they do to like show off tents.
Yeah.
She just walks into that, closes it up, just sits down, and you just see a pair of black hands start to go around her shoulders, and I'm just like, ugh, fuck. That's a good ending.
Yeah. Yeah, some of them are like that where I'm like, I don't really know how this is gonna end, and then you see something and it's like, and I'm gonna walk away now.
It's like I went from I don't know how this is gonna end to I don't want to know how this ends.
I think like that thing where it's like it shouldn't have been inside the tent. It should have been like outside the tent.
It didn't have to be inside the tent or outside the tent, but the concept of literally she's going into this tent as like a last chance for any form of security, and it's just this fucking demon just. It wasn't a physical demon. It was, again, these are all like spirits and shit. And it's literally putting his hands around like her her arms and her shoulders. And it's just like, no matter where you go, because of how much you fucked up, you will never be safe from these things. That's what fucked me up.
Yeah. It's the psychological part of it. Like, not a lot spooks us, but as I've said in like in multiple times where like we've talked off recording and stuff like that, because right now there's what, like I said with fucking I didn't say this about like D&D or like Haley's campaign, but like there's some moments in that where I was just like, this is good. I'm concerned about what's gonna happen next, and it wasn't even for like a scary thing. It was just, yeah, I wonder
How
how
bad
we're
is
gonna.
this? How
Yeah.
bad is this character gonna get?
Yeah,
fucked?
literally when we were looking for the big three, that's how I felt. Where I'm like, I'm gonna die here. But
if we're gonna touch on horror, I have to talk about something that I really love when it comes to the concept of horror. The type of horror that you don't even need to watch a movie for, you don't even need to play a video game for. You just need to read. And literally, like, of course, there's Lovecraft.
yeah,
He's done great. But what I'm talking about now is SCP.
Yeah.
The SCP wiki, I've easily spent like hours just reading some of these like SCPs, and they scratch that itch of like, holy fuck, literally just the concept of these things getting out could fuck everything up. Like the Destroyer, like basically like they put this air of like quote unquote realism to it that makes you think like, oh god, this could actually be a thing. Like they say like, oh, you want to know why there's a red spot on Jupiter and why? Because there was a destroyer it was a giant advanced like destroyer headed towards Earth, ready to fucking blow us up with all of its like super antimatter guns, and Jupiter got in the way, and it like got pulled into Jupiter, and like all the it literally fired everything on Jupiter, and that's what caused the big red fucking spot on Jupiter. And as we're talking, the thing's actively trying to like rebuild itself so it can continue on its mission to destroy Earth. And I'm just sitting here like, oh
yeah, a lot of things like not SCP, but like extraterrestrial shit. There was recently something that got leaked by NASA where it was Neil Armstrong on the moon, and this got leaked after what, almost 50 years ago. And Neil Armstrong was on the wrong radio channel when speaking this, but he saw two different, like, not UFOs, but like spaceships on the moon when he took his first step outside.
It's one of those things like, if you see this, you'll
well
shit
no
bricks.
They have like actual recordings of like this on the medical channel of him saying, hey, I see two other aircrafts on this place.
And
and I'm just like,
you know it's not Sputnik either.
No, it's not. And it's like, because Sputnik, what, they went 10 years after? Or like 5?
We were quote unquote the first people to land a man on the moon. Sputnik was nowhere near where we were when it came to the moon. They were first when it came to getting a guy in space, but we were the first when it came to putting a person on the moon and bringing them back. So it wasn't Sputnik. It was just, oh god, we're getting into the fucking like, we're getting into this like shit where it's like, oh, conspiracy theories.
Yeah.
But
we'll leave that alone for right now. But
yeah.
Actually, because this aligns with how SCPs, because this aligns a little bit.
Oh, there was one. Oh, sorry. We were talking about the moon, and like, there's a movie. I think it's called Apollo 18, where it's like, oh yeah, they just decided to like after the space program, like after they shut down any and all shit when it comes to the moon, they're like, oh, let's just fucking redo it. Let's like revamp it. Let's get the boys back up there on the moon. Figure out why the fuck it was shut down in the first place, because I guess the files got like destroyed or something. So they send a team of 2 guys on the fucking moon, and next thing you know, we come to find out there are extraterrestrial life forms on the moon that are basically just rock crab monsters, effectively. And it's just like, oh, shit.
I say this all the time, like going back and thinking about like the horror that could be like beyond our reach. Yeah. That's why when you brought up SCPs and I took a look at a few of them, some of them genuinely spook me. Like, Not like not like Siren Head
all
and
the
shit like that
concepts.
aren't SCPs.
All the concepts of 001, where like one of them's the Scarlet King, one of them is literally this device that just expands things that's currently expanding our universe, and another one that's literally just SCP-001 when day breaks, where the sun literally says fuck you all and just turns us into Jello monsters.
Jello monsters.
I shit you not. That's literally what it is.
What is like in not in your opinion, but what do you think is like the least worrisome SCP?
Anything that's safe. Like at the least worrisome, I'd say 999 because it's literally just a little Jello dude who
Isn't that
gives
the
out
thing?
serotonin.
Isn't that thing the thing you like use?
Yeah,
this
that
little
dude,
thing.
that little guy.
This little
Well,
boy.
we're currently saying that little guy while you poking the head of it.
Yeah, this little dude.
Yeah, that little guy.
This little guy that apparently for some reason you decided was a good idea.
Yeah. What do you mean? I got teleported in that universe with it.
Yeah, I don't want. Yeah, you were messing with it. You were blooping. But out of like, so I know genuinely like that SCPs are just progressively fucking awful.
I mean, there are thaumials, which are literally like, oh, these are SCPs the Foundation came across that helps them counter
SCPs
or neutralize other SCPs. Thing is, with Abel, because you know what Abel is,
yeah.
SCP, he's not a thaumial. He's still I think he's Keter. And the reason for that is literally because the only reason he has any thaumial-esque behavior, like helping like fight other SCPs, is literally for that, just to fucking fight them. Cthulhu is a fucking SCP.
Oh yeah, I think it's so.
What was your what was one of the SCPs that like really fucked you up? Because I got one.
I don't know like much about like all of them. I know obviously there's like the Scarlet King to essentially this blob, but like the ones that I know of are like I don't know, some of them are just like
Yeah, like
so some of them don't seem like
the kitchen knife that lets you pass any and all intimidation checks.
Oh no, because like so obviously we talked about this in a previous podcast where it's SCP and D&D, and I think there was only like one SCP that you talked about that like could possibly be in that, and I'm just like, that would genuinely cause a problem to most people. I can't remember which one it was. I obviously know, like...
Can you, like, give me a description of it?
I can't, like, it's... I know that...
Is it something we used?
No. It was just something that we were having a conversation about.
Oh.
It wasn't something you guys used. It was more of, like... Because Scarlet King, obviously, this thing that's literally a companion to you.
Yeah.
And I think the only other two things that I've seen are, like, the deer, and then that's it.
There's Komoho.
Oh, yeah, well, I haven't, like...
We fucking killed her.
I killed her. That was fucking
But anyway.
That bitch.
Anyway,
Murder.
thing is, there was one SCP that really screwed me up because it was just, like, the concept of it was horrifying.
Mm-hmm.
So, I forgot which, I think it's SCP-5999, which is, literally just titled, This Is Where I Died. Effectively, it is a mimetic kill agent that is disguised as a recording of a string of events. Yep, is essentially a mimetic kill agent that is disguised.
Oh,
as a recording
this was the other fucking thing.
Oh, 682.
Yeah.
Yeah.
682 was like the other.
Oh, no shit.
Was like the other one that you were like, oh hey, this is a thing. And I'm like, oh.
Fuck.
I see a lot of things with like 173.
But basically, SCP-599 is essentially a string of events, a string of recorded events that will essentially be played out before you. So I'm talking recordings, voice logs, shit like that, and essentially it is all a front to hide a mimetic kill agent that is strong enough to kill a god.
Yeah.
Someone could look, and the thing that's most horrifying about it is that someone could just fucking record it on a VHS, like a tape, play it in front of like the overseer. He could play it in front of him and just kills the overseer from doing that.
Mm-hmm. That's why I'm like...
Which is even more unsettling about this SCP, it is canonical that it is strong enough to kill a god. Like, the Foundation confirmed that it is strong enough to kill a god, essentially. Which begs the question, what god did they test this on?
Yeah, like, what gave you... Like, was it someone in the in the Greek pantheon? Was it...
It's Kratos.
Yeah, fucking just, let's test it on fucking like Zeus.
Oh god. I think another one was... Yes, there was one SCP that was literally
682 is just funny looking.
There was one SCP that was literally so strong the Foundation had to, albeit temporarily, they erased Christianity. I am not fucking joking. Like, with a combination of, like, just destroying records, censorship, and also a heavy use of amnestics, which is essentially just the forget-me drug, they managed to erase Christianity. Like,
I love it.
Gone.
I love it. It's just everybody. Nope. We didn't have that. I don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Shut the fuck up.
Yeah, and literally, it was, albeit it was, I'm pretty sure it was temporary, and it was only to, I think it was more to contain this SCP than neutralize it, which is even more fucked. But yeah, that's some of the lengths the Foundation will go. The fact that they're able to do that is fucking horrifying.
Yeah, they're just able to get rid of a religion for a brief amount of time.
They could have done it indefinitely.
Yeah, I know.
Which is even more scary. Which begs the question, like, how many religions did exist?
Yeah, that's like, that really begs the question. It's like, one, obviously we're talking about like SCPs and they, and the concept behind them, but it's like, I would love to have just 999s running around. That'd be great. That'd be so much fun.
I love the fucking iPods. The iPods.
Is it ever known that you can train 682?
No, because 682 isn't like a fucking house pet. 682 is actually a sapient individual.
It's like it's like a sentient thing.
It's a child of the Scarlet King, and
oh, okay.
Yeah, 682.
I didn't know if it was something that was just like made.
It's not fucking trainable. Trust me.
I didn't know. Like, obviously, the Scarlet King can be like, "Hey, 682, go fucking do this thing before I fucking murder you," kind of thing. But like, I didn't know if 682 was like, if he was created by the since he's created by the Scarlet King, if the Scarlet King like gave someone else permission to like command it, if it would like listen to that person or not.
I sincerely fucking doubt that, because I think it's more of a test of strength
than
anything else. Because the Scarlet King can just look at 682 and be like, "You do understand? You can easily get erased from existence, right?" Yeah. Oh man, but yeah, SCP. For me, will always be scarier than anything a fucking horror movie can come out with.
The realism of SCP.
Yeah, it's the combined realism alongside of just like the abject, just like this could very well be a thing, and it just begs the question of like how
what
much
if it was?
How it's like it begs the question of like how many actual like world-ending anomalous events has like our government or just some random literally third party fucking organization stopped.
Yeah.
Because like obviously the Foundation, it does not exist, obviously, in this world, but in its own world, the concept of the Foundation is only known to the Foundation and maybe to the GOC, which is basically the UN version of the Foundation. But
Yeah.
they only focus on neutralizing anomalies, not containing them, which is very dangerous. Because what's going to stop one of those anomalies from just going, ha, fuck you, I respawn? Like Abel.
Yeah, exactly like Abel. That's why I think it's really that's why I think like for reference, since like we talked a little bit about horror games, if I had to put any game that's not a horror game into realism, that would be like Binding of Isaac. Because Binding of Isaac takes a lot of things from religions and SCP and just throws it into a game. Abel is in the Binding of Isaac.
I actually want to see like a legitimate
SCP
like
game.
AAA SCP game.
I would.
Where
that
you
would be
like
fun.
play as like MTF agents. Oh, it's so good.
It'd be good. I would enjoy it.
Just
it would scare the ever living fuck out of me, but I would enjoy this shit. I don't care.
You look at it. You look at a pixel of a mountain. You look at a fucking picture of a mountain range. You notice like 4 pixels of an off-colored patch of snow. Next thing you know, you just hear screaming as like chunks of metal get torn out of the walls. Fuck.
I can imagine. Hey, no, because if they made a AAA game with like SCPs, 100%. There would be a lot of people that know SCP that'd be like, I want a companion as 999. Just has a 999.
Or the fucking iPods, because like if it's anything like Containment Breach, the iPods are really useful, especially when it comes to 173, because the iPods will just fucking stare at it while you run away.
Yeah,
it's great.
The iPods don't have to blink.
Yeah, they're iPods.
Yeah, they just look at you forever. Like you'd never have to worry about it.
Fucking beep boop.
Beep boop. Yep. Have we ever like encountered like?
We have not encountered the iPods yet, and if we do, I'm getting them as companions.
Oh, 100%.
100%.
It would be fun. But that's why, like, when you said, "Oh, this is like SCP and D&D," I like looked up Scarlet King, and I'm like, why wide world ending? And I'm like, oh no.
Oh, don't worry. The world will only end if the Scarlet King's like, I think it was like his 6th or 7th wife actually like births his child, or miscarries, which then just becomes a birth, because Scarlet King, loopholes don't matter to me.
Yeah, loopholes don't matter to me. Yeah, child anyways.
Yeah, not child, more like fucking kaiju monster, because like almost every child of the Scarlet King has just been like this almost world-ending kaiju monster, including 682.
Yeah. It's alright. It's
Anyway.
alright. I always forget that you have 999 as a companion, and like I feel like my character is genuinely just like picked it up and goes, "What the fuck are you?" As it slides out of my hand.
Why am I happy all of a sudden?
Yeah. Why am I not angry?
I want to be angry. Lito, take this back.
Pretty much. I feel like that's how that would be.
Oh god. But anyway, back to horror movies.
Yes, because of like always, as you know from like the past 3 months we've been doing this podcast.
I mean, there have been believe it or not, there have been a significant amount of like SCP fan films that are genuinely like good.
I think,
a lot of them from Evan Royalty, like that channel.
Yeah, I've seen some of them.
Overlord, Dollhouse, First Contact, Ghost Town. I know I'm just naming random names. But,
yeah, no, but I think like I feel like ending with SCP, like just the concept of SCP, the fact that like something not worldly.
It is horror movie gold.
Yeah, it really, like, if somebody made a horror game or a horror movie based on the SCP Foundation, and just that whole world.
They can make a horror movie based off of one SCP.
Yeah, which means it gives them infinite
of
amount. Yeah.
movies. Yeah, it's literally just the movie titled SCP. Insert number here.
Yeah, I can imagine like I would genuinely love to like have a 3-part game, like a 3 trilogy game of like you fighting you containing a certain amount of SCPs per game.
God.
Or you fighting a certain amount of SCPs per game, because that would just be, I feel like that would be fun.
My favorite line out of context when it comes to like SCP logs and shit like that is just like, maybe you're Sequarinos, maybe you were choir boys like me. You bust down the door, you run in, and then that's it. You're fucked.
Where is that from?
So there is an SCP. I forgot what the actual number was, but its name, I guess, is Doorway to Nowhere.
Mm-hmm.
And in this Doorway to Nowhere, there are monsters that'll come out that can only be killed by a silver bullet.
Yes.
And you have to pray. You have to pray while you fire it, and it doesn't matter what you pray as long as it's sincere. So it's literally the concept of spray and pray. And there is an entire MTF like faction dedicated to 1, religion, and 2, silver munitions. And I've used them before in the D&D. MTF Chai 13, choir boys.
Yeah.
Ding.
It's great. But yeah, I feel like, I don't know, do you think we talked about enough, or you want to talk about anything else?
I'll talk about other things.
We can talk about whatever. We've only been doing this for an hour.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Bulbous.
Yeah.
But, yeah, so, enough about SCP.
Even though it's...
we could go for, like, an entire session just talking about, like, certain SCPs that we both find, 1, horrifying, 2, awesome, and 3, just fucking cute.
Adorable, yeah.
Yeah, like, come on, 999 is, like, one of the most adorable fucking SCPs.
Yeah. Then we have this one.
No, go back up. Then we have that one.
Oh yeah, this guy.
That, actually, that's a woman, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah. But,
yeah.
So, is there anything, like, horror-esque that you would want to, like, talk about?
Found footage. Just the concept of found footage. I love found footage.
Alright, then I'll leave 999 here.
Yay!
999 could just sit on the as we talk about it. Yeah.
Yeah, this person gets their throat ripped out in like 4K. Found footage.
Oh yeah, the found footage of apparently the deer.
Yeah. Anyway, but thing is, with found footage, the one thing I don't like is when it comes to more modern found footage films, like more modern found footage movies, they don't really do it anymore. But when they do, it's like, it's still like the grainy ass like what was it, 420p? It's like still like the grainy ass 420p, maybe even lower, and it's just like, didn't this come out in like 2021? Isn't 8K almost a thing?
Yeah, 8K is a thing now.
Like GoPros are able to fucking stream in 4K, not stream, but record in 4K now, so it's just like. But going back to older found footage movies, there was one, of course there's Cloverfield. It's a given. But there was one called Diary of the Dead.
Mm-hmm.
And I liked it. It was a little goofy at times because George Romero.
Yeah.
Has to be. But for a found footage zombie movie, it really scratched the itch of like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Especially the transition from like people like the group that we see, the transition from them like being like, what the fuck's going on? Like you're there with them as they're going, what the fuck's going on? Why is this happening? Stuff like that. And you literally see like people turning into fucking zombies.
Mm-hmm.
Like you see a news thing of like you see like the fucking paramedics rolling this body that's like covered in a white sheet. All of a sudden you see the white sheet start to fucking convulse, and it's like, this thing was fucking dead.
Yeah, I think if we get on another topic, I'm just gonna pause and then we'll keep going. So we'll take like, I don't know, however long we took a break last time.
They'll never know.
Yeah, you guys will never know. But yeah, so we'll think about like where we want to go with the rest of the podcast, and we will be back.